Are you missing block labels for your map? Do you hate point world text? In this tutorial, I'll show you how to make custom text for your map using fonts from the internet. So there's two things that you'll need to add custom text to your map: an editing software and a font. I recommend using GIMP because it's free. Download and install GIMP, and then we'll move to looking for a font. You can search for a font on Google. There's a few websites that provide fonts for free. Defont is alright. I'm just gonna pick one now. Seven Swordsman looks alright. Breathe Fire 5 looks alright. I think I might go with Seven Swordsman. So if you select the font on this website, it will show you what symbols are included in the font. You'll notice that it's missing the underscore. So if I wanted to use my map title with this font, I wouldn't be able to include an underscore, but I'm not too concerned about that. Download the font, extract it, then you want to open the folder and you want to open your Windows font library. Drag the font file into your Windows font library. And you should see that it's been installed. Now we can open GIMP. Once you've opened GIMP, create a new canvas. Note that if you had GIMP open already, you'll want to relaunch GIMP, otherwise the font won't have been added to the GIMP font library. With your new canvas, you want to have it at a power of 2, 128, 256, 512, 1024. Doesn't really matter. Although you might find that at lower resolutions, your font will look very pixelated. So I'll quickly demonstrate that at 256 by 256 resolution. Now, the way we add our font, we fill the canvas black. And we want our text white because we're creating a mask, which will be helpful later. Search for the font. If you can't remember the name, just check back at your website. If you have trouble finding it, even with the website name, you might need to go into your font library on Windows and see what the installed name is. Sometimes the font name will be different to what is displayed on the website. Then you can adjust the size of your font and select a blank space on your canvas and start typing. We'll go 220. And I can already tell that's too pixelated, so we might create a new canvas at 512. You can discard the old canvas. And we'll go through the same process, fill the canvas black, change our text to white, and we'll have to increase the size of the text because the resolution is now higher. Now we want to align our image because it's off center. So you can select up here, align, and center. Okay, once we've got our label finished, we need to save it to our desktop. Give it an appropriate name. And when you're exporting, you can save it as gray because we're not using any color. and that might save some space in your materials folder. We'll open Hammer, and now we need to create a new material. Open the material editor, go File, New. Then we want to find a CSGO static overlay shader. Save the material. We need to put it in our materials folder, and I like to keep my text in a subfolder. Then we can just save the VMAT as the name of our label. For the color, we'll open our folder, and we need to copy the image we just created into our materials folder. Make sure it's in the same path so you don't lose it. And now we have our 220 block label set up and ready. Now I'll demonstrate how it looks right now, and you'll notice there's an issue. Make sure you look in overlays and not materials, because we made our material with the overlay shader. Now you can see that we have a black border around our label, and that's because the image isn't translucent at the moment. So we need to go back into our material editor and select translucent in the blend tools. And then we need to use the same color image as our translucency mask. And anything that is white will be projected, anything that is black will be masked out. Now you can see that the 220 label has no border. Say I wanted to color my text. I can adjust the tint in the material editor, but a better way of achieving this is by adjusting it in the object properties of your overlay entity. That way you don't have to make separate materials for each tint of color you want to use. Now what if I wanted to use the texture of the blocks I'm using for my text? To do this, I simply need to change the color image for my label in the material editor to the same texture I'm using for my block. Now you can see that the mask is still working, but anything that is textured is using the material for my block color. I can also adjust the brightness if it's too dark. That might be a little crazy, but we'll see how it looks. Righto, I've just compiled, and there we have our block label. Looks a little bit bright, but that's fine. Now the only thing I would add is to efficiently create all your block labels, all you need to do is keep the original file in GIMP open and adjust the integers for your label here. Just double select the layer and type out the new numbers. Then you'll just have to re-export and move those into your material folder.